Are you one of the many Americans that deal with the effects of diabetes? Diva Skin Conditioner could be the remedy that you need. Diva Skin Conditioner is a formulation that was designed with you in mind. Diva Skin Conditioner comes with a money-back guarantee. That's how confident they are in their product. For more information, visit divafeet.com. That's D-I-V-A-H, feet.com. Or you can speak with a representative by dialing 903-270-0026.
The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Coach Maynard, if you could please just open us up with a statement about your season opener versus Morehouse.
Yeah, it was the first game in the Hall of Fame, and it was a great opportunity for our guys to go down there and get to see and meet there. Meet some of the Hall of Famers, but they're idols that they grew up watching, and finally got to play Sunday afternoon. And it was a great football game. Morehouse got a great program. Coach Freeman doing a great job, and they fought us all the way. You know, we made a lot of mistakes. We turned the ball over 5 times, and anytime you turn the ball over 5 times and get a W, you're living right some kind of way. So we're very fortunate to come away with the win. We got a lot of work to do. But our guys showed some intestinal fortitude, not giving up, not pointing fingers when we went down. We just 50 seconds in the game and got the ball back and drove it down and scored the game-winning touchdown. So I'm very proud of the guys for the way they fought, kept fighting. But we made a lot of mistakes, and we got to get that cleaned up.
Coach, could you walk us through that last play, that touchdown toss that ultimately sealed the game for your ball club?
Yeah, we was on the 20-yard line and had 9 seconds left. And the play before, we were just a little confused, and I thought that was the biggest play of the game, so I called a timeout. And that was my last timeout, which I really wanted to save in case we got sacked or we threw the ball in play. We could still use a timeout, but I just thought that we need to be on the same page and make sure that everybody knew exactly what we was trying to get accomplished right there. So I burnt the last timeout, and we just ran 2 little end routes and ran the third receiver on a corner route. And so I made sure that the offensive line knew if we got 3 seconds, we got a good chance to score here, and made sure the quarterback understood that we're not going to throw the ball in the field of play. If the corner bites, we're going to throw the corner route. And if he don't, we're going to throw the ball in the stands and kick the field goal and win the football game. So I just want to make sure everybody was on the same page and understood exactly what was at stake and what we was going to do. And that's what we did. And they played us man. Our couple plays before that, we kept throwing the ball over the middle of the football field, and our number 3 receiver was running the post route. So the safety kind of started playing us inside there. And so we knew we had the opportunity for the corner route. So we called the corner route, and it was open, and they executed it perfect.
Coach Maynard, this is James Verrett. The turnovers, how much do you attest that to Morehouse playing good defense or the weather being a part of the reason why you had so many turnovers?
No, it definitely wasn't the weather. I contribute to Morehouse, and then just a lack of some bad decision making on our part. A couple of them, they made couple good plays on the turnovers, and the other ones was more on us. We threw a backwards pass and turned it over, and then we threw one in traffic, a little slant on a pump. We tried to get the ball down the sideline, and instead he threw it to the third guy coming back across the middle in traffic, and he got tipped, and so that was an interception. And then one down the sideline, the guy just made a good play on. And the other interception was the other turnover was zone read, and we just, the running back has changed. The quarterback put the ball on the ground. So a little bit of both, more so us than them, but they did make a good play on one of the turnovers. So, we got to get that cleaned up, and I think we will. First game, and Aquil Glass had to kind of settle down a little bit there, and he was the Aquil Glass that we expect him to be the last drive, and so hopefully he can just continue to build from that last drive.
Hey, Connie, how you doing this time? How you doing?
Good, Ty. How you doing?
Hey, when you were up 28-10, was it Morehouse tenacity coming back, or was it that your team kind of relaxed there when you were up by 18 points?
Well, we was driving tired to, kind of go for another score, and we turned the ball over. That was, I think, the one down the sideline, and that guy actually made a good play on, then he ran all the way back down. So, we were trying to put them away, and they actually made a good play on that turnover. And then I think the tackle got beat and the quarterback got hit in the back.
Line muted.
On the next drive that we was driving.
Line unmuted.
3-4 scores there. So we were trying to put them away, but, they was gritty and they kept fighting, man, and that's what happens. You never give up, and, you got to take your hats off to them. They played hard.
Hey, I know it was an early season game, too, but it's one of the hardest hitting games I've seen in some time. Did you notice that? Did the players, were they just turned up because it was time to hit somebody else as opposed to hitting each other?
I think both teams was tired of hitting each other and wanted to unleash on the other team, and they put some good licks on us, and we put some good licks on those guys. It was a great football game, man. It's what football is all about, man. Defense flying around, hitting people, both defenses, and the offense is scoring some points. So it was a great game for the NFL Network and TV and our conference and their conference. Just a great football game all around.
And what are your thoughts on opening up at home next week against Arkansas Pine Bluff?
Say it one more time.
What are your thoughts about opening up at home next week when you take on Arkansas Pine Bluff?
Well, it's the first conference game, so, of course, we got to try to win it, and we're on a short week. But, you normally make your biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2. So we got that going for us that, it's a conference game. But now hopefully we can get these, watch this tape in a little bit and get these mistakes behind us and don't make the same mistakes next week and take care of the football. That's one of our things that we preach is about taking care of the football. And we got to do a better job than that. We can't turn the ball over 3, 4, 5 times and expect to win football games.
And I know you got to get that cleaned up, but besides the turnovers, what else do you need to clean up on offense?
Well, just the decision making. Glass made some bad decisions. Probably possession 3, 4, and 5. He really made some bad decisions when we had great field position and we didn't get anything out of it, and it was because of his decision making. So we just got to get him playing quarterback one play at a time, one snap at a time, and executing the way that we know he can.
All right, man. Thank you a lot.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Cornell, Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. How you doing?
Good, Luke. How you doing?
Doing fine. Who was your place kicker? How much confidence did you have in him if you didn't complete that pass and you had to kick it? Who was your place kicker, and how much confidence did you have in him from that distance?
Oh, I had confidence in him. We was only on the 20. It been 37-yarder. He could hit it from 50 probably. In that weather, maybe 45. But, I told him, I said, listen, if we get the corner bite, we're going to throw the corner for the touchdown. If he don't, we're going to throw it out of bounds, and we're going to keep the field goal to win the game. So we was prepared to kick the field goal. We was in a very makeable range. It was just a matter of whether he would have made it or not. And I told him, I said, was you going to make the kick? He said, yes, sir. I said, we'll never know.
What about Brian? You explained to one of the previous questioners, you said about what you had seen them. How did he happen to get behind 2 guys in the end zone like that?
Well, they was in man, and 2 of the previous plays, if you watched it, 2 of the previous plays, we ran Jenkins on a little skinny post, and we ran the 4-man on a little slant up under him, and we threw it to him twice in a row. So his man was expecting him to run another post route because he just ran 2 post routes on him. And so he started out, he played us inside. He took inside technique away, trying to take the post away, and we saw it. And so we just called the corner route and hoping that they'll play the same defense they had played, expecting us to do the same thing that we just been doing. And he took the inside away and gave us the corner route. Actually, that's why he was so wide open. He had beat him by 3 or 4 steps. And Aquil just stepped up and made the throw, and Brian Jenkins caught the ball. So it worked out.
So your biggest problem with Akil, you say, was some decision making early in the game, as well as those interceptions. Other than that, 397. I'm sure.
One of the interceptions, they made a good play, was man to man, and they got looked back and made a play on the ball. The bad interception was the one he threw across the middle that got tipped. He should have just threw that ball away. That was a first down play. We was trying to hit him with a pump and go. And if it's not there, you just got to throw that ball away and relive the play, 2nd and 10, you know. And I expect him to be able to make better decisions than that. He's a Quill Glass. He played the whole year last year, and we're expecting big things out of him this year. A freshman quarterback, okay, I can understand him making that mistake, but not a Quill Glass. And then the zone read, he put the ball on the ground. You know, that's a Quill. And then the throw behind the line of scrimmage, you know, I tell them we don't throw screens behind the line of scrimmage, the bubbles. We throw those balls forward. And so, you know, that's 3 mental mistakes, you know, that he made that he shouldn't be making, and that we don't expect him to make. And so, you know, we get that cleaned up. But, you know, if you look at the stats, you think he had an all-world game. He was 28 for 44, 397 yards passing, but he really didn't play that good, you know. So, you know, the stats and then his lies.
Last coach, what defensively were you happy with? What individual or what in terms of your play were you happy with on the defensive side?
I think Portlock, number 30, played well. You know, you know, they number one. That running back is pretty good, man. You know, you get him out there in space and he can make people miss. And you know, they put us in a couple of binds a couple of times with the outside zone and things of that nature. And so we had to make a couple adjustments, but they had a good game plan, and they attacked us defensively. You know, we had turnover defense. I think we had 2. We probably needed more, and we gave them a couple of big plays on 3rd and long where we got to get that cleaned up and maybe get off the field and maybe put a little bit more pressure on them in some situations. And then right before the half, we put in our prevent, put in our big receivers and corners, thinking they was going to throw the Hail Mary with 8 seconds left, and they ran one more play and got a little bit closer and kicked that field goal. So that was a big 3 points there. And well, I didn't have another timeout, but Coach Eastman had put those guys in there, and I told him, I said, I think they can still run another play, Coach. But I didn't have a timeout to call a timeout to put the regular defense back in the game. So that cost us 3 points right there, and you know, and it almost cost us at the end of the game. So we got a lot of work to do, stuff we can clean up on defense. You know, nobody really stood out this game.
Coach, this is James. Again, your initial thoughts on playing your conference opener and playing Arkansas Pine Bluff?
We look forward to it. We look forward to a challenge. Like I said, we're on a short week, so we got to get ready to go. We got to watch this tape, get this cleaned up, and then get on Arkansas. We went over there, played them over there last year late, and so now we're playing them early here. We're expecting a big crowd, but we got to be ready to play. We got to clean up a lot of stuff and play a little bit better if we expect to beat them guys.
Coach Trevor A. Jones. Good morning to you, Coach. One question. When you're looking at Arkansas Pine Bluff for the next game, them just playing TCU, is it harder, Coach, to actually scout a team and look at what you're expecting from them after a game such as that?
Yes, it is. It is because when you're overmatched and you get pressure with just front rushing 4, and you can't run the ball because you can't get off their guys, and so you don't really know how good they are because they're playing up. They're playing up against a FBS program, so you don't really know. You know, they look worse than they really are, and so you got that in consideration. And one of the things we always say is respect all and fear none. So we got to take care of home, and we know they're going to be a lot better than they played against those guys.
Thanks for your time, Coach. Good luck next weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We will now move down to Alabama State, where the Hornets open the season at University of Alabama, Birmingham, with a 24-19 loss. We will now be joined by Alabama State head coach Donald Hill-Ely. Coach, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you doing today?
Oh, doing great, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us. Coach, you guys played, obviously, an FBS opponent to open the season, and, you know, looking at the game, looking at the numbers, the stats, and actually watching the game, you guys were in it there every second of the way. Can you just open up with a statement just about your season opener at UAB?
Well, you know, going into the game, we, you know, despite all the commentating and everything else, 50-point underdogs and all this other stuff, we felt that we had a chance. Our guys came in and They really played hard in all three phases, and UAB was able to make one or two more plays in a couple crucial situations, and was able to hold on to the win. But I was real impressed with how the guys played, and really had a breakdown in our kicking game where they was able to get a kick return on us, and that ended up being the deciding factor. But we still had our chances going down the stretch. Had the ball on the 1 yard line and didn't get it in, and that could have swayed the game back for us late in the fourth quarter. But it didn't. It wasn't in our favor, and came out with a L.
Coach, one of the things that stood out was Bell in your running game. He had 112 yards on the ground off of 10 carries, and obviously that 67-yard first quarter touchdown burst. Can you just talk a little bit about his performance?
Yes. Bell is a real explosive young man. He's one of those guys where you don't get two opportunities at him. He's a 4.2 guy that we acquired from South Florida, and been doing a great job for us, and we expect him to do the same. He got out on them early, put some momentum on our sideline with that big run, and showed them that we could match their speed and match their intensity, and he was just able to go back and forth, being able to have those kind of weapons on offense.
Hey, Coach, good morning. How you doing this time?
Go ahead, Ty. Go ahead.
Hey,
Ty, what's going on, brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
All right.
Coach, I know everybody's giving you accolades. I saw a lot of stuff on the internet about the game. I saw the game on the Stadium Network, and Alabama State really played well. But just talk about the fact that, what you got to do to get over the hump from a game like that.
Well, now, you got to get back. And like I, told the guys, there's only one team to win. And so, we don't get up around here for moral victories, playing guys well. It's one thing that you can go in and take on a Conference USA or FBS team and validate our product. That's my biggest thing, is that, we still coach good football here at HBCUs. We still got good players, and, and when the opportunity presents itself, you like to win those games. But, again, you play them hard, and I'm sure it's not what they expected, but it was, good for our guys. But now we got to get back to the drawing board and get ready for Tuskegee that's coming in, that's going to be bringing, if not the same, more intensity than UAB.
Coach, a couple of splash plays beat you, the long kickoff return and the long touchdown pass at the end. They beat you. So talk about the fact how you can work on how you work on your team with avoiding those big plays that could be the difference in the game.
Well, we looked at the kickoff and that return they had, and you still, you're still dealing with human capital. We had the guy, that's in his lane. So happened they call a right return, and the particular young man don't come down the field and force the football. He actually doesn't run. He jogs off. So that leaves a gap in your window. So it becomes an effort deal. But it's, again, you make the assessment, you put another guy there, and we ended up putting another guy in the spot during that time once we realized what had happened, and the kid, that took that out of the play. So, you just continue to get better, from those things. The deep ball that they caught, Keenan Isaac was in great position. It was a great throw and a great catch. So, again, it wasn't like it was a blown coverage. We were in position. They made a play. So, you take those things away, you come back to practice, and, you get ready to be able to make sure those same things don't hurt you again.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Tuskegee. Can you talk about the Tigers and how they're always a tough out, and how much of a rivalry this game is, even though I know Alabama A&M is your biggest rival, but this has become a rivalry game, too, when you take on the Golden Tigers, rather.
Yeah, they both two brothers. The same rivalry, same fight in the same house. So, Tuskegee, they've been getting ready for this game since from the spring to the summer up until this week. So, they're going to know us inside and out. And, we now moved into breaking it, filming all that stuff down from last year, trying to, see what they did against us then, and and now, it's still trying to get prepared for them. So they're going to come in with a lot of energy, and it's like their Super Bowl. This is one of their chances, the same way that we went and played up. They get a chance to come and play up, and so they're going to come in and play just as hard to prove to their fans and to everybody else that they could play at this level. And we expect that, and we expect the dogfight of a game.
And, Coach, a lot of coaches always talk about the biggest improvement happens between week 1 and week 2. I know Coach Taylor and Hampton used to always talk about that. What is the biggest improvement you think your team needs to make this week?
Well, again, how to finish. More importantly, we can't get the ball on the 1-yard line and don't get it in. So we got to learn how to finish offensively. Defensively, again, I thought our defense played well going against an explosive team like that, but we need to be able to put ourselves in a position where the deep ball isn't getting behind us, that we have things in front of us and still continue to get better. I thought for a first game to come out with 6 penalties was a great ball game. So, and it means that we're playing clean football. So we want to clean that up and get it even lower, and work on the turnovers. We had a interception at the end of the game, which stopped that last drive, and then we had a punt return for a fumble. So we got to work on some ball security. And Coach Taylor was definitely right. I sat a lot of days around that table as a player and a coach. And I saw the transformation of improvement from game 1 to 2. So you'll see a lot of improvement with us as well.
Thank you, Coach.
No problem.
Coach Ely, Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. How are you?
Luke, what's going on?
I'm doing fine. Great effort from my perspective on your team in the game. I watched the whole game. Talk about Duran Bell. Where did you get this guy from? He had a big kind of breakout game. Talk about his play yesterday on the game.
Well, he's a transfer from South Florida. One of those kids that came in this spring, and has done a great job for us. He's a very explosive guy. We can use him not just in the backfield. We also use him on the perimeter as a slot. Good leverage. Probably, like I said, the kid is, you have to know where he is on the field. I mean, he could just make plays, and you want the ball in his hands. At every single time he touches the ball, he can break it.
And you said not moral victories, but, most FBS teams that you face, and when we got HBCU, FCS, the scores are not kind of lopsided. You said you don't take it as a moral victory, but what kind of grade do you give your team after this kind of performance?
Well, it's one of the ones I give them guys. I still give them a B because of the effort that they played. I would have gave them an A if they won, but we're constantly closing the gap on some of these mid-major FBS, and I think we're closing the gap on them. But I've been on the other end of that where, we didn't get beat, we got whipped. So you get to the point where, okay, they didn't beat you. I went and watched my son play against Howard this weekend, and it was 79-0, 35-0 in the first quarter.
Right.
I didn't want to be on the end of that either. So, so I'll take it, but we won't celebrate it, but I'll take it as a good fight, and as that we're closing the gap.
And speaking of closing the gap, what does that say to perform like that against UAB? What does that say about you as you look at, your own battle in conference kind of battle? Do you think your team and your program has made strides that was indicated by your performance yesterday?
We have to make it such. Like I told the coaches, we want the guys to be encouraged by the effort that they gave against UAB, but we don't want to be the Cinderella either. We don't want this to be like a one-time out, and that's the effort you gave because you was fighting Goliath. We want you to be able to line down every single week and give us that same gallant effort. And that's the thing that we have to encourage them, that it ain't no letdowns, ain't no, okay, we got ready for them, and now let's just go back and take off a slipper. We have to, every time we take the field, we have to have that same expectation, and we have to play with that, and we have to be able to coach that out of them. in practice today when we get out there. We got to get them into the point that they realize that the bar that they raise and set, that's the bar that's expected every week you go out.
And you mentioned this with Ty. You talked about you expect Tuskegee being in a similar situation as you. They're playing so-called up a team a division higher. And he said maybe they're as much a rival as A&M is. What do you think, from your perspective as a coach and from your players' perspective, how do they see the Tuskegee game?
Man, this game go back 100 years, and it evolved as the Turkey Day Classic, where they used to eat Thanksgiving meals and come and fight and play this game of football. So that tradition and household is when you get in this area, you see a lot of Alabama and Auburn shirts, but you see a whole lot of Alabama State and Tuskegee. It's a big, rich tradition of pride in this particular area. And those young men that come up, some we recruited, and some, went there and they expected that they should have been here. And it's these guys commingle. They go to, we're only less than 30 miles apart, so they commingle in the same social settings and things of that nature. So it's a grudge. When we take that field, the contact that you hear across, ain't a lot of love in that.
I want to ask you a question, if no one else has, about what's it like for guys like you and Connell to cut their teeth up in the CIAA MEAC area to be down in Alabama. How have you adjusted to that? I know that's a coach's life, so to speak, but how have you adjusted to that? What are some of the differences that you see?
Well, fortunately for me, I'm in an area that I got cousins and uncles and aunts. My grandfather's originally from Hardaway Short area, so I have a little bit more support mechanism. But the key about it is that when you're coaching our football, HBCU football, regardless where it is doing your purpose for our young men and being able to make sure that you're doing more than just teaching football. And I think, Maynard, he's a Bill Hayes descendant, just like I'm a Coach Taylor descendant. When the game was introduced to us, it was introduced as, yes, be physical, yes, win, but more importantly, make a difference for the guys that's in the helmet. And I think when you you look at the passion, that Maynard has, or you look at the guys at our programs, you see kids that enjoy playing the game, but more importantly, you see a lot of men transforming, character building things that happens around the program. So it really wouldn't matter what region we were in. I think the way that, we were taught, you're going to get that same thing that was taught to us, that we're going to do more than just coach football.
Excellent, Coach. Thanks so much. Good luck.
No doubt.
We will now move to Alcorn State, where the Braves open the season at Southern Miss, and we will be joined by head coach Fred McNair. Coach, are you on the line with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here, man.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach. Coach, if you could please give us a opening statement about your team's performance in their season opener at Southern Miss.
Yeah, I thought all week we had a great week of preparation for Southern Miss, and just going into the game and just getting a good feel of it. And I thought that we had a chance to pull one out early. We gave up opening kickoff return, which we can't allow early. At the half, it was 13-0 at the half. Go ahead and make some adjustments. We come back out. We receive the ball, and we go right down and score. Man, the score is 13-7. Next possession on defense, third and long, we commit a dumb foul or a dead ball foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, so get him the ball back, and the next play that we go up top. I thought we had pretty good coverage, but my defensive back, he fell down, and the guy was able to make a catch there. We got a touchdown there, and then after that, I think the wheels kind of fell off. We gave a punt return, of course, for a touchdown, and things of that nature. We just can't allow that. But overall, I was very pleased with the way the defense played, and some aspect of the offense. We did good, and we didn't execute as well as I thought we should have on offense with the guys we had returning. But the defense played a pretty close ball game for us. Kept us in the game. Take away those two returns for touchdowns, and long pass for a touchdown, right in the ball game with those guys. So, a lot of effort. Special team wise, we just got to get better. One of the things we're working on today is a special team part, which we worked on all week, and just the mistakes that we made during that time. You cover your lane, just simple. Stay in your lanes and fight through it. But we didn't do that, so fell short. Southern Miss was a good ball club. Got to give them credit. They was prepared. They scored 38 points. We scored 10. So that's who win the ball game.
Coach, when you look at the game, there were obviously some points where you guys were highly competitive. It was a 13-0 game at halftime. Your defense was playing well. And when we just kind of look at the scores across the conference for the teams that did play up in division with FBS opponents, there was a lot of competitive play. If you could just talk a little bit about what that does for the psyche of your team, knowing that you played up and knowing that you were able to compete so well.
I guess the biggest thing is, even with the FCS schools and even the historical black colleges and universities, we're recruiting the same kids. I think Southern Miss got some of the same kids that we recruit. So, across the board, I think we're doing a great job as well as in recruiting areas as any other. So, we just got to continue to trend on getting those guys that want to be at our universities as well as the other ones. So, I think the trend now, the team morale is up. They kind of hate that they lost the game. At the same time, it's a thing that we didn't do. That kind of cost us. I mean, we always look at it that way. We don't hurt ourselves and shoot ourselves in the foot, we have a chance. And that's one of the things I think we did this past weekend. We shot ourselves in the foot, didn't do the things we need to do to win the ball game. So anytime you give up 3 big plays like that, it's kind of tough to bounce back from playing a good football team in Southern Miss. But across the board, I think that we're getting where we need to be as far as recruits, as far as the HBCU schools and things of that nature. So we just got to continue to trend the pound and hit on all the school doors and try to get the same kids. And I think we're doing a pretty good job and keeping these games close. And where it used to be put out of hand early in the first quarter or the second quarter, we're just doing a good job of keeping them close and having a chance to fight for it. Just like I said, you make mistakes and there you have it. We'll make the least mistakes, probably going to win that ball game, out of that bunch. So I think that, across the board, I think we're doing a great job of, as coaches in the HBCUs, keeping these games close when you're playing at FBS schools. So it kind of helps the morale of the recruiting as well as too. So it does great for us.
Hey, Coach McNair, good morning to you. It's Ty Miller.
Hey, Ty.
Coach, what do you know about Mississippi College? You're their first game this year, and what can you tell us about the Choctaws?
Well, they gonna have a bunch of kids, man. They're gonna bring a load of kids down. I think Coach John Bland is doing what he do in the past year or so. He's coached at University of Cumberland for a long time and staged a 70-21 record there. And he was a position coach, a quarterback coach at University of Rice, and he's been around for a while. He's been around football for a long time. And just what they do on defense is going to be kind of similar to what we've seen this past weekend. And offensively they're gonna run the Georgia Tech style stuff. So we just got to prepare ourselves for that. It's nothing we haven't seen before. We just got to be very disciplined in what we do as a team and make sure the things that happened this past weekend don't happen this coming weekend against them.
Coach, you're talking about the read option, and on that read option, there are a lot of things going on. So how key will assignment football and reading your keys be to trying to defend that kind of attack?
That's the biggest thing too. Good eyes, assignments, and do your assignments. I mean, if you supposed to take the dive, take the dive. If you got the quarterback, take the quarterback. Just simple as that. I mean, it don't get no simpler than that. Just good eyes. They gonna feed that big back they got. I think he's a transfer, maybe a transfer from Southern Miss, I think. But they got a good running game. I think they do some things well. They're gonna run the ball. I think over the 10 games last year, they rushed the ball 500 times. They carried it 500 times on the ground and probably threw it maybe 12 a game, so they're going to run the football. So we just got to be prepared, good eyes, good discipline, and good alignments and assignments. That's all we got to play defense. Offense, we just got to be able to protect the quarterback, maybe to run the football. That's the biggest thing.
And, Coach, one more thing about Mississippi College's offense. The chop block is a big part of those type offenses. Are you concerned with your defensive linemen being chopped, and how do you tell them to guard against that?
Well, we always concerned about that. Anytime you play against a good Georgia Tech football team, and you've seen that before, and now you come and play against a solid Mississippi College team, you're going to probably do the same thing as well. They know they're coming. We're preparing for it. We'll practice it, and we'll get them ready for it. They know it's coming, so it's not nothing they've seen before. So it'll be there for us, and we have to just play as hard as we can and protect those guys as well.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Coach, just talking a little bit more about what you saw offensively from your team. Obviously, you guys were limited in scoring, but what were some of the bright spots that you did notice offensively from your team?
Well, after the first possession we had, we moved the ball down on them, and we were able to attempt a field goal. Corey just missed the wide right, and we have a chance there to go put the score at 7-3, so we had opportunities, and I think that we moved the ball, pretty good at times, and sometimes we didn't do it so well. I think we had some issues up front. They played the 4 eyes, and they was able to get us pretty good. So we gave them some sacks, but the biggest thing is the team is real good right now. They know what they have to do to correct the things they made mistakes on. That's what I'm excited about them, for knowing what they did wrong. They were quicker to admit that they was bad up front at the time. So we made some corrections at half, come back out at halftime. Third quarter, we drive the ball down the score. Now the score 13-7. So these could be 13-10. But on the circumstance, we just had those mishaps, and then after that, the wheels kind of fell off after that, and we didn't do as well as we planned on it. But we still more consistent what we did, running the football and able to throw it around. So I thought we did pretty good at that. So I was pleased with that and the way they played with effort and all that kind of stuff. So it's got to be better this week.
Coach McNair, Trevor A. Jones, how you doing, Coach?
Good, Trevor.
Coach, real quick, I had to ask Coach Maynard earlier. When you're playing in a game like this, how is it harder for you to evaluate your team as you have prepared for this season when you're playing up like that? Because in games like this, sometimes teams will get blown away, or sometimes they're pretty much in the competition, or when you're midway, so to speak, for lack of a better term. When you, as a head coach, how do you evaluate the team's performance and when you're playing up like this?
Well, the biggest thing is just being fundamental sound, in what you do. I don't care if you're playing Mississippi College or Southern Miss, zone step is zone step if you do them correctly, So just faster competitors is what you get. USM, they had a lot of speed, but as far as matching up with them, I thought we could match up with them as well. And what they did on defensive side of the ball and offensive side of the ball, they weren't as tight as I thought they would be. I think our defense controlled the line of scrimmage for the most part. They had a lot of yak yard on catches, of course, and they weren't really throwing. And we right there to make the plays. I mean, just out of just making the plays was the biggest issue sometime in the game. But I think for speed-wise would be the only thing that I would say would be a totally different thing than what speed they have and the depth they have over there. So other than that, I think technique is the biggest thing. Fundamental sound football is the thing that you try to evaluate your guys on against a team like that.
Coach McNair, thank you for your time, and good luck to you this week, Coach.
We will now go to Arkansas Pine Bluff, where the Golden Lions opened the season with a 39-7 loss at TCU in what was the Golden Lions season opener. And now we will be joined by head coach Cedric Thomas. Coach, are you on?
Yes, sir.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Coach, obviously just looking at your first game of the season against a Big 12 opponent, obviously against an opponent who traditionally has had very strong football programs. You guys, played well defensively to open the season and really competed well against, a Power 5 program. If you could just open us up with a comment on how you felt your team played to open the season.
No, just very excited about the product. I heard Coach Ely talk about it earlier. I thought, the product in which we trying to establish here as we continue to change the culture is that of a sense of pride and technique and fundamentally sound, and I thought they showed that. Showed a bunch of toughness. We couldn't get bullied, off the football, but the product was sound. We got down blocks and we spilled blocks and we stayed on top of the cuts. As far as the route concept, the best way we could. Our discipline. It was a good product that was on display. So from that aspect, you come out of it, saying, okay, that's a good start. But at the end of the day, we're not coaching more victories. We still lost. And, I wanted the kids to understand that. We had a bunch of tears in the locker room at 90-6 and didn't see as many tears at 39-7. And we gotta cry the same way we cried 90-6, knowing that, 9-7, knowing that we had a chance, and we felt like we let one slip away. But proud of them from that standpoint. But we still got to continue to get better. Can't turn it over on offense. Can't give up big plays on defense, and just got to continue to recruit and get depth. You kind of seen in the second half a lot of kids cramped up, and I thought that was one of the major issues. But proud of them from just schematic standpoint. They did the game plan that was expected. Had a whole summer to pretty much get prepared for them guys. You can't take nothing away from Garrett Patterson and his program. Them guys got some big time athletes over there, and what a class act. Them guys just played. Being in the stadium, and him and his staff did a great job preparing them guys. Gave us some different things that we hadn't seen before. And my hats off to Coach. Very, very classy guy.
Coach, I know you said you don't coach moral victories, but just looking at some of the performances individually on some guys on your team, one of the student athletes that stood out on the stat line was Colby Watts. 10 tackles, 9 of those being solos, 2 tackles for loss. What did you see out of his performance?
Just toughness. Colby flew around, made a lot of plays for us, but he was one of the guys that's been in the program now going on 3 years. He was here before we got here. And just to see him buy in, knowing that he don't have a lot of teammates that was with him, for whatever reason, but just to see him take the initiative to lead us defensively, was really exciting, because he's bought in, all in, put his chips to the table, and he flew around, made a lot of plays in front of a crowd that he had a lot of people there. He's from the DeSoto area, won a state championship in that Texas area, so he had a lot of family there. And just to see him, come out and do it the right way and fly around and give us a chance defensively was really exciting for that young man.
Coach Thomas, this is James Verrett. When you looked at your defense and they held the Horned Frogs to field goal after field goal after field goal, what does that say about the improvement of your defense from last year to this year?
Just toughness and retention. That's 2 of the main components that we really just put emphasis on going into the spring and also doing summer and camp. Just be mentally and physically tough. And having retention as far as the playbook standpoint, we threw a lot of things out last year and just kind of rebuild it structurally. And, just from a coaching staff, Coach Quinn and Coach Bradley and Coach Rowe did a great job of helping me lay the foundation down of getting these kids to understand the why. Our kids ain't never been sorry. It's just they didn't understand a lot of times, what was expected of them from a defensive and schematic standpoint. And that's all, goes on me. But, that's the biggest things I was, proud of them the most. But, that was supposed to happen. When you get all this information, I see all the time you learn these rap songs in, 2.5, 3 minutes. You can learn this playbook in a couple of days. So the bar's been set high. And anything less than that, we don't want it.
Coach Thomas, obviously you guys will shift gears this week in kickoff conference play, playing Alabama A&M. Have you been able to look at much film on them, and if so, what have you noticed about their ball club?
Oh, without a doubt. We were looking at them first 4 or 5, all summer. And the first thing to stand out is just Glass. Big time arm, athletic, can make every throw on the board. Got some guys on the perimeter that he can get it to. Got some old linemen that can sit in there and protect and give him time. And then just kind of watching Coach Maynard, transform that program is kind of what we're trying to do over here. And I kind of studied, some of the things that he's done, there. So we got our hands full with those guys. Anytime you can, like you said, have 5 turnovers and still win a football game against anybody is a testament of those guys' character and will to win. And that's some of the components that we're trying to continue to instill here. So, but defensively, did a great job. Those guys get after it and make a bunch of plays, had a couple of turnovers, and then sound in the kicking game. So, well-coached ball club. We know we got our hands full, and we gotta be ready to fight for 4 quarters.
Coach Thomas, this is James Red again. Could you talk about your line play? How have they improved, particularly on the offensive line from last year to this year?
I mean, just major, but when you return, 4 kids who gave up 10 sacks last year, that's expected. But those guys, play really well. I say they like Voltron when they all come together. Mark Evans, a true sophomore, started every game at the left tackle. You look at Jaden Glover, who's been playing, for the last couple of years. He's at the center, and A.J. Smith, Tundre Smith, has, been in there. Those guys got a lot of starts. And then you put the baby out there this year, and he, did a good job. He held his own against one of the best D-lines in the country up front. And then you bring a junior college kid in. Bradley Burrell played a bunch for us last year. So those guys has really improved. You really couldn't get a chance to tell as much, with that stingy TCU defense. But their head man is a defensive guy also, and it always means a bit more. But they had a massive front and couldn't get as much movement as we wanted to. And we know defensively, Coach Maynard had those guys chomping at the bits also, but just very proud about the offensive line play and how those guys really stick together. And, Coach O has done a great job, and I expect those guys to continue to prove up front.
Coach, do they buy into that Voltron mentality? They feel together as a unit they can do a lot of great things?
They really do. But when you see them on campus, it's one of it's not besides the DBs, man, that group is always together. When you see them in the cafeteria and you see them out just chilling on campus, they're always together. You ain't going to see them less than 3 in a pack. And that's a great job of Coach O getting them guys to understand that, and they're getting a feel for each other. But they also been through something. They took a lot of bumps and bruises on the way last year as freshmen and sophomore, and now, from the weight room to the classroom to now out on the field, that last component, they spend a lot of time together, and it means something to them. So it's a true brotherhood, with those guys. So I always tease them, you can't be together in one-on-ones, but they fight their tails off. But when they get together, they something special to watch, and it's going to be exciting to see these guys continue to grow as the season go on.
Coach, you referenced the 90-6 game last year against South Dakota State. To go from that point in your program to now playing, TCU, who traditionally we all know has been known for, putting up points, big in the Big 12 is known for scoring. But to go from that state of your program to where you guys now are opening the season against Big 12 programs and playing competitive, playing well on defense. I know we say you don't do more victories, but just what does that do for your mentality of just knowing that this program is going in the right direction?
More so for the kids and the coaches and administration, it's a lifestyle journey that they always remember, and some coaches, got it's like some underlying rules of integrity that's in, and I just sit back and look at, last year I think it was maybe 70-something to 7, and the balls are still being thrown. And, some coaches coach, their way, and it's my job as a defensive coach to stop them. And I just vow to myself and my ball club that that'll never happen again. So it was personal from that standpoint, just the outing. But we also know, it was a time where, Coach had his starters in pretty much the whole game. But when it got to a point where it was out of hand, Coach ran the ball. It just kind of ate up the clock. And but we knew, for 4.5 quarters, their ones was out there and going hard and trying to make plays, and when we were too. But just to let the kids know and everybody else to understand that, A lot of these schools could score a lot of points on, a lot of people. But, it's some underlying rules just from, just the sportsmanship part of it and integrity standpoint that, you don't get to that. But I'm glad it happened to us. We'll be stronger from it. And we got T-shirts made, and it's all around the building. 96 we won't forget. And regardless of playing those teams or whoever, that's going to be the mantra until they get me up out of here.
We now go to Grambling State, where the Tigers open the season at the University of Louisiana Monroe with a where they fell by a score of 31-9. We will now be joined by Grambling State head coach Broderick Fobbs. Coach, are you on?
I'm here.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the opportunity to join us. If you could, Coach, please give us an opening statement about your team's season opener at ULM.
Well, it was good to get out and play against someone else, for a change. We've been, beating on each other, for, about 3.5 weeks or so. And, our kids were excited to, get an opportunity to play and even play, close nearby, So, played against a really good football team. UL Monroe, Coach Matt Viatar does an exceptional job, he and his staff. And we had our chances, had our opportunities. Moved the ball rather well. When you kind of look at the stat line, it was kind of somewhat even. A couple plays here or there, jump out of some gaps where they got a couple of big plays on us in the running game. But if you take away, those 2 or 3 mistakes that we made, it's probably a different ball game. And then also, a couple of times in the red zone, we had opportunities and a penalty or, overthrown pass or what have you. Those opportunities we have to continue to work on and work ourselves through in order to continue to develop and be a good football team.
Coach, you referenced the stats from the game, and just looking at them, I think they can be a little bit deceiving on kind of analyzing what you guys were able to do offensively. You finished the game with 407 total offensive yards. So with that being said, obviously you had some opportunities in the red zone, but you have to be, I'm sure, somewhat pleased in some aspects of what you guys were able to do on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, I don't necessarily believe in more victories, because ultimately you play to win football games. But it is encouraging to see some of our young kids, freshmen and sophomores out there playing and mixing it up and being productive. That was big, on both sides of the ball. So that is encouraging. But, also the thing that, that's always important for us is, we believe that, you make the biggest improvement between week 1 and week 2 because your kids get a chance to see themselves on film and see what they did wrong. And also you get a chance to see what your kids can do under the lights in front of a huge crowd and how they'll respond and how they'll react, who's ready to go and who's not necessarily ready to go. So, those are kind of learning things that you learn about your ball club as coaches, but then also what they have to learn about themselves as they play the game. So we'll look at film and we'll analyze that, and that's what we've been doing since yesterday, and seeing where we need to continue to develop and scratch weight itches so we can be a better football team this week.
Coach, looking at it on the defensive side of the ball, obviously Fields was a big contributor for you guys with 16 tackles, 7 solo, 9 assisted, and he also had that interception. Can you talk a little bit about his play defensively?
Well, Dan has really developed into a really good football player. He's a very humble young man that comes from a humble background and is very, very hungry to be successful. And, he's the epitome of a G-man, for us. We talk about the trifecta, a great person, great student, and a great player. And he's one of those guys, we don't give that label away lightly. And he's a guy that is the epitome of a G-man. And I'm glad to know he's being very productive and getting the notoriety that he's been getting, not only in the conference, but also, in other areas as well when it comes to the next level. So he deserves it. He's worked extremely hard for it, and he's playing really good football. But more importantly, he's a team guy that wants to do things the right way.
Coach, when you look at your next matchup, traveling to play Louisiana Tech, preview that game for us.
Well, it's another one of those games. Anytime you play up, there are certain disadvantages that we all know are there, and you have to find a way to get that thing to even as quickly as possible, and play that game and play effectively. Not only that, but then you also have to find a way to try to take their confidence away where they're uncomfortable and they're not the same team. So that's always tough to do. But it is something that is manageable, and you just have to, play flawlessly and mistake-free in order to have that chance. So our kids know that. We understand that. There's a checklist of things that we have to do well in order to give ourselves a chance to win a football game. And if we don't check off those boxes, then, you'll get what you get, But our kids understand that we have to execute better. We have to play better in the red zone, green zone areas. But then also, we have to make sure that we're where we're supposed to be and continue to play the game where we want to play it.
Coach, last question for me. Hickbottom at quarterback, obviously 18 for 31, 157 yards, and a touchdown. He also had some success rushing the ball. Can you just assess his play at the quarterback position, please?
I believe he's, running a ball a little bit too much. A lot of it had to do with scrambles, getting out of the pocket and making plays with his legs. But he's very efficient, protected the ball. The one interception didn't come from him. It came from our backup quarterback. But it was good to see him get out there and compete. He's a very competitive young man, another humble young man, and has been, very, very good for us here at Grambling. So, he did a lot of good things, but then there are a couple of throws that I know he wish he had back that were actually touchdowns that we didn't necessarily complete, But, he's going to be a good player for us. He's going into his junior year. We're excited about what we have around him, the playmakers and things that are available to him, and he just has to continue to do what he needs to do in order to be effective.
Okay, we will have an adjustment in our schedule due to a conflict. We will not be able to get Coach Hendrick with Jackson State on the call. So we will move down now to Mississippi Valley State. Where we will preview Mississippi Valley's season opener where they fell to Tennessee State by a score of 26-20. And now we will be joined by head coach Vincent Dancy. Coach, are you on?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, Coach, thank you so much for taking some time with us to join us on our conference call. Coach, your ball club obviously opened the season with OVC member Tennessee State, and what was a highly competitive game. Could have went any way. So if you could talk a little bit about what you saw from your team in their season opener.
Excuse my voice, still kind of hoarse from the game, but I thought it was good playing against another opponent. I thought we did a good job, in preparation all week. We gave ourselves a chance to win going into the game. We felt like we can win going into the game, and we gave ourselves a chance to win in the game. So very, very proud of my guys. Like all the rest of the coaches, more victories is not what we want, but very encouraged by, our play this weekend.
Coach, obviously first game of the season, you don't know 100% what to expect from the opponent because there's not any film on them, being it's the first game. Obviously there was a little bit more element of surprise from Tennessee State with their quarterback situation. So just talk to us a little bit about some of the adjustments that you guys were able to make in game and how you felt like your team was able to execute.
With the quarterback situation, we had a chance to see him early on throughout the summer. He did play in a couple games for him last year, so we was very prepared for him as well. The biggest adjustment we had to make was battling number 3, Chris Rowland. Man, they got a big time athlete at receiver that made a lot of plays for him, and I thought he kept him in the game and did some great things for him to help him win the football game.
Good morning, Coach Dancy. This is Mike Prince with the Open Mic Broadcast Network out of Texas. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing good, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing real good. Look, I know it's the first game, and you can't count up your season on a plus or minus side after one game, but what was the biggest difference you saw with your squad coming in this opener versus last season? What do you see the improvement, and what do you see the work still needs to be done?
Well, some things I thought was good. We played a clean football game. We only had 6 penalties. Gave up 1 sack, no turnovers offensively. Some things we need to work on. I thought defensively we played well, but we missed a lot of tackles. I thought if we could have, tackled well, we would have put ourselves in a better position to win the game. And they wouldn't have had a lot of explosive plays that they had, but. Overall, like I said, I'm very encouraged, to see some of our new guys, our new players, and our, freshmen out there run around and play and have an opportunity to get some playing time against a big-time opponent like Tennessee State. So, it's a lot of work that we got to do. We're not there yet. We're not where we want to be yet because at the end of the day, you want to win games. You don't want to, only one team win. But I think our guys are getting the picture. But we got a lot of work to do, and but our guys are. I think our guys are ready to put in the work.
My final question, Coach: what would be the greatest improvement that you're looking for from week 1 to week 2 as you face your next opponent?
Just to get better in the area that we need to improve on. Like Coach Favre said, that's the best thing about it is you get a chance to watch yourselves and let the kids watch themselves and see that there's a whole lot of improvement that we can improve on if we just stick together and buy in and continue to to go out and work hard at practice every day and get better.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach, and good luck to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach, if you could preview your upcoming matchup, you guys will travel to Texas to take on Lamar.
Oh, man, Lamar, big-time opponent in the Southland Conference, FCS playoff team, very explosive offensively, a dynamic defense. They do a lot defensively to create turnovers, to create pressures. So we got our hands full this week. I think Mike Schultz has done a great job for that program since he took over. I think combined with with their coaches, Mike Schultz with 40-plus years coaching, both offensive coordinator with 30-plus years coaching. So they got over 100-plus years of coaching under their belt. So we got to do a great job as coaches in preparing our guys for what they're going to see this week going against Lamar.
Coach Dancy, Trevor A. Jones, good morning to you, Coach. Coach, just feeding off of what you just said, they have 100 years of coaching under their belt at Lamar. So I guess, this might seem like an ignorant question, and I don't mean it to be so, but it sounds like the objective would be not to be outcoached. Is that correct?
Exactly. We got to put our guys. We got to do a great job of putting our guys in position to make plays, and we can't get out coached. Like I said, they got a lot of experienced coaches, a lot of coaching years under their belt, and we just got to do our job and prepare our guys well for what they're going to see, and just clean up some things from our previous game, and I think we're going to be okay. Continue the physicality. I think we play tough. I think we play hard. We just got to finish, and if we put our guys in position to make those plays, I think we'll be okay.
We will now go down to Texas and Prairie View A&M, where the Panthers defeated the Texas Southern Tigers by a score of 44-23 in the annual Labor Day Classic. And we will now be joined by Prairie View A&M head coach Eric Dooley. Do we have Coach Dooley on the line?
Yes, I'm on the line.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Coach, big win for you guys. Obviously, the only conference game on the slate to open week 1. You guys were able to travel on the road and get a victory against a quality Texas Southern opponent. If you could, Coach, just give us an opening statement about your season opener.
Oh, well, we know it was going to be a big game for us because we starting off the season with a SWAC opponent. More than that, with being on the west side as well, and then you to top it off, an in-state rival type game. So we were excited about that. I knew that McKinnon would have his team prepared and ready to play. So we had some challenges. I thought our guys fought for 60 minutes, so I was pleased by that.
Coach, offensively, just looking at the stats, obviously would stand out to anybody with the performance of Tucker at running back. Just talk a little bit about his overall performance and what he brings to your team offensively.
Oh, he's an exciting young man, a young man that works extremely hard. You talk about not just on the football field, but in the classroom as well. So we're pleased to have him with us, a young man that's going to do the little things that's going to put us over the edge. So excited to have him back there with a lot of other guys that I feel can help our football team be successful.
Good morning, Coach. This is Mike Prince with the Open Mic Broadcast Network. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
All right. Congratulations on your win. Another explosive performance by Dwanye Tucker, but another strong performance by Goodwater. He seems to have the Midas touch every time he touches the ball with the limited times he gets it. Explain what that competition has been like at the running back position for you guys.
Oh, it's been some great competition across the board. Those guys are excited. They accept the challenge. They compete day in and day out. So I'm extremely pleased with that. Their efforts of what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish.
Now, Coach, you had 44 points, a lot, but if you look at it, and I know you're always looking for improvement, 18 penalties for 132 yards. Do you credit that to just adrenaline flow, or is it just guys still trying to get things under their feet?
No, we got to correct that right now. That's one of the biggest emphasis that we talked about in our team meeting. We can't continue to play well with 18 penalties. I'm pleased to be able to correct it because it was a win, but that stood out to me, and we got to make sure we take care of that, and we got to take care of that this week.
Now, you go back to Houston to take on University of Houston, and, of course, you got that conference game behind you. What are going to be some of the key elements that you're going to look for the improvement when you face off with the Cougars? And my final touch with that with how do you assess your line play on the offensive and defensive side?
Well, of course, you hit it right on the head. The improvement got to come with the penalties. You cannot have 18 penalties and go out and expect to play well and beat some opponents. So we got to get that corrected. I think we got to shore up some of the things on the defense side for us to tackling, and I think we'll make that get that addressed and take care of that. And more importantly, we just got to continue to play hard for 60 minutes and just do our part. We're going to play an opponent that plays well in all three phases. You're talking about special teams. They got some exciting players. And you're talking about, the offense is probably one of the most explosive offenses in the country. And the defense, they did lose some guys, but they played hard and had a great game on last night. So we look forward for the challenge and just got to be prepared and ready to play on next Saturday.
All right. Thanks, Coach, and good luck to you on this week.
Thank you.
Coach, you look at a team like the University of Houston, who obviously has some weapons offensively. If you could pinpoint, just some key points of emphasis for what you feel like y'all have to do defensively to have some success against them.
Well, first of all, we got to be able to tackle well. We got to be able to tackle those guys in space. They got a lot of weapons that they like to get in space and get the ball in their hand. So we got to make sure we be able to tackle. Then we got to be able to stop the run because they got a dynamic quarterback that's a dual threat that can, I know the RPO is going to be working for him. So we got to make sure that we play our responsibility and play hard and make sure we rally to the football, put 11 hats to the ball.
Coach, last question for me. Obviously, U of H this week, Nicholls State the following week. So really the next 2 weeks, obviously, you start off with conference. The next 2 weeks, you'll jump out of conference play before playing Alcorn State. With that being said, how much of these next 2 weeks will you use, just to kind of obviously continue to prepare your guys for conference play?
Well, each week we prepare to play the opponent that we're playing. So we know we have a huge challenge this week coming up to play the University of Houston. So we're preparing to play those guys, and we accept the challenge. We know what type of challenge it's going to be, but we accept it, and we're just preparing for it right now.
We will now move down our roster here, and we will move to Baton Rouge and Southern University, where the Jaguars dropped a 34-28 decision to McNeese State, and we will be joined by head coach Dawson Odoms. Coach Odoms, are you on?
Coach Odoms here.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Coach, if you could give us an opening statement about your season opener at McNeese.
Well, we didn't play very well. 5 turnovers, and we played hard. We still gave ourselves a chance in the ball game, all the way down to the end, and defensively gave us a chance. Offensively, we moved the ball, but we had three turnovers. Fumbled the ball 3 times. We got down inside the 5, and then got penalties that moved us back. And then it just was a frustrating loss. But I think we learned a lot from it. Our team learned from it, and got to put it behind you and work on ball security. Fumble 2 punts, and the rest is just. They had 24 points off of turnovers. We gave it to them inside the 25. They had opportunities. They had the short field, and defensively they forced them to kick 2 field goals. But just want them to be a little stronger down there and hold them to field goals. But we didn't play smart football. Didn't play very well, and gave a team a victory. So we got to go back. Got a tough team coming in this week. We go to Memphis, who I think is one of the better teams in the country. So we're going to have our hands full, but I think we'll get better. We'll play much better, and guys will be much more locked in, and we'll do a better job as coaches to get this football team ready to play the kind of football that we know they're capable of playing.
Coach, I know, obviously you have stated that your team did play up to their capabilities. With that being said, to not play your best football, to still be in a game and, still be right there with those guys. Just talk a little bit about, just what you guys will emphasize in practice on cleaning up those areas, knowing that, there obviously are some bright spots because you were playing in a competitive game.
Biggest thing is ball security. Just, our quarterback had 2 costly turnovers, and we just got to value the football. Poor decisions on punt, receiving the punt. Just got to, look at some things. First time in live coverage, these guys, that's their first game, full speed. Put some good on the film, but we put a lot of bad on film. So we got to understand game speed. We got to understand that it takes certain type of preparation to get ready to go win a football game. You're not going to just show up and think you go win football games. You gotta have the right mental approach to it, and that's what we'll work on this week, is just really cleaning up some of our miscues because we moved the ball up and down the field. We did some really good things, but we didn't force any turnovers on defense, and we committed 5. It's kind of hard to win those kind of football games, and we missed a field goal. So as bad as we played, to still have a chance, like I told our guys, you got to keep fighting, and that's what I was proud of. They kept fighting, but we couldn't get the momentum to change on our side in a timely manner to really put pressure on that football team. But backup quarterback came in and played really well and drove it down, and we got 2 scores. So didn't call any new plays. It's just the execution was better, and I think if we can do that, I really like our chances going forward.
Good morning, Coach. This is Mike Prince again with the Open Mic Broadcast Network. How are you today?
Good morning, Mike. Doing great.
All right. Look, from the way you're recapping this thing, would you say it was more of a mental letdown on your team's performance versus the physical part?
Yeah, well, especially with the miscues. I mean, we had 2 explosive plays called back for holding. 1 called back for a lineman downfield. It's just you got to be locked in. It's hard to win football games, but you cannot shoot yourself in the foot, and we did that a lot on Saturday, and that's not a characteristic of our football team. A lot of it, the magnitude, playing in that big game in the first game of the season, not having a game under your belt, and just uncharacteristic mistakes of a Southern football team. And we know we got to go back to the drawing board. We got to refocus, and we got to get a football team a lot better. And that's been our MO. We normally get better each and every week, and this year is no different. New team, new group of guys. They got to come together. They got to understand, and I think they do. We had a good meeting yesterday, and to get the mind retooled. So I think we'll be much better going forward with our understanding of what's at stake.
Yes, sir. And my final question, Coach, with you bringing in your backup quarterback, was that as an alert for your starter, or is this something that you got to possibly look at down the road as far as getting the execution that you're going to need to be successful?
Well, the biggest thing is just understanding the expectation of the quarterback position. We expect you to play a certain type of way, and we expect you to have a certain type of focus. And nobody on this football team is an exception to those rules. I think our starter did some really good things. I mean, he threw the ball a lot better. He went to some places with the right reads and progression, but ball security, and we've harped on it. You got to protect the football as a quarterback. That's your first priority. You got to take care of the football, and you cannot be careless with the football. But I know the quarterback that we have, he'll refocus, and believe me, he's more upset than anybody that he didn't play really well. And he knows he gets a chance this weekend to go out and do it again. So we don't have no quarterback controversial. I think Bubba's had an outstanding camp. Bubba came in, he was ready to play. He moved the team up and down the field. He put us in the box. So we understand. We got 3 quarterbacks on our football team that have started football games. So you got people behind you that's pushing you. So as a starter, you got to come ready to play because these guys are preparing for their opportunity. So I think our starting quarterback understands that, and he understands our expectation of it, and I look for him to play better this week.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot, and good luck on next week.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Southern University head football coach Dawson Odoms. Coach, last question for me. I think you alluded to it earlier in the call. You'll travel to face a formidable opponent in the Memphis Tigers, obviously in a hostile environment. These type of games where you're playing up FBS and you're going on the road, what do you hope to get out of from an improvement standpoint and just overall from this upcoming matchup?
For one, value the football. We got to take care of the football, cut down on our penalties, and can execute at a higher rate. If we can do those things, I think we'll see that we'll be able to move the football. We'll be able to do some things in this football game against a very talented football team. I mean, I think they got 2 D linemen that are projected, easily top 10 picks. So their football team is as advertised, and we got a chance to watch them against Ole Miss, and it's exactly what we saw live, a really good football team. So, our hands will be full. I think some predictions have them going 12-0. So they are one of those teams that I think in the beginning of the season, people predicted them to be in a BCS game. So we'll have our hands full, but I really think we'll play much better. We reevaluate some things, getting the right people in the right place, getting the right guys out there, some guys that we thought should be out there didn't come with the right mindset, so therefore somebody else will get an opportunity. But I think we got a good idea of who we are and what we're trying to do. We just got to get guys doing it a lot better.
Okay, we will now be joined by Texas Southern head coach Clarence McKinney. The Tigers opened the season in the Labor Day Classic. They lost to Prairie View by a score of 44-23 in what was a highly competitive game. So we will now be joined by Coach McKinney with the Tigers. Coach, if you could please give us an opening statement about your season opener versus Prairie View A&M.
I thought our guys came out and were really prepared, played hard, played from the opening kickoff to the final whistle. Made a few mistakes that we can't afford to make, gave up some big plays defensively, and we didn't score in the red zone, score touchdowns in the red zone. We had plenty of opportunities. We didn't come away with touchdowns. We came away with points, but not touchdowns. One turnover in the red zone killed us, as well as missing a field goal early.
open the drive. But overall, I think we have laid a good foundation to build on, and just get better each week.
Coach, you talked a little bit about laying the foundation, and I was watching your post-game press conference, and you also alluded to the fact of, obviously you guys are implementing a new system, and you feel like the success and the wins will come further down the road. So if you could just touch a little bit back on that philosophy and just your overall mentality of kind of just laying the foundation for this program brick by brick.
It started for us with just becoming a disciplined ball club. We were very pleased with our discipline on Saturday versus Prairie View. We had 3 penalties, 1 holding penalty, 1 pass interference penalty, but we didn't do the false starts. Things that you can control. So I thought our team was really disciplined in that aspect. We're installing a new offense, a new defense, new schemes, and it just takes time for those guys to get comfortable and understand why we do what we do. And you can only really evaluate, how much improved you are by playing games. So our guys went out and played with great effort, which is, as long as we get that effort and we continue to get better, we feel like better things will happen for us.
Coach McKinney, how you doing? This is Mike France with the Open Mic Broadcast Network out of Prairie View. How are you this morning, sir?
Yeah, how's it going, Mike?
All right. Look, I know that there are no satisfactory and moral victories. You guys came out. It looked like it was going to be the start of a new era in that first quarter play. What do you think was the biggest transition between the first quarter and the 17th quarter? 17-point quarter.
In the first quarter, we started fast, but we didn't start as fast as we could have, because we had an opportunity to score 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, and we didn't do that. I think that kind of let our guys down. We lost a little of our momentum, and gave up a big play to Prairie View there towards the end of the second quarter, and I think they took the momentum going in the half, and we can never get it back.
Okay, now, Coach, with the impact of you coming out of the gate playing a conference game, what's the psychological weight when you come out on the short end of the stick? Even though you still have time to recover, you're going to be taking on Alcorn Word. But how is that emotionally for you as a coach and as a team to rebound after a conference and, more importantly, a divisional loss?
It's not a big deal to us. We got to play the season. We got to get ready to play Alcorn Word. We feel like we still can't control our destiny. If we get Prairie View to lose the game, we just got to win the next game. And we're out of conference, so we'll get a chance to play a different league where it doesn't count against our conference standings, and we can continue to get better. So once we get back into conference, we'll be ready to roll.
Yes, sir. Now, Coach, you always talk about the biggest improvement will be from week 1 to week 2. And even though you came on the short end against Prairie View, you spoke about the discipline area. What are some of the positive things that you would take to build on heading towards San Antonio to take on Alcorn Word this week?
Definitely from our program standpoint is the discipline part of it, just not making stupid penalties. We think we've helped ourselves out in that aspect. Now, from a coaching standpoint, we have to improve in the red zone. So we're going to focus on scoring touchdowns in the red zone and just getting better this week versus Alcorn Word.
Now, with that being said, Coach, my final question, Johnson was cramping up. At one point, it looked like Williams was going to get in. Are there any possibilities, if you're going to have a short leash this week, taking on Alcorn Word, or will use this as an opportunity to get guys to get their reps in on both sides of the offensive side?
Johnson is our quarterback, and as long as he can go, we feel like he gives us the best chance to win. And if he can't go, we feel like we have a quality backup in Devin Williams.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Coach, and good luck to you this week in San Antonio.
Thank you.
This will conclude our teleconference for week 2. Our next teleconference will be on Monday, September 9th on our teleconference, and we look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Thank you.